Dead Rising has 6 main endings, plus overtime mode, but one of them, Ending B, can literally be earned by doing almost nothing. And here's the best part. While you're doing this nothing, you can also grab 2 or 3 of the rarer Steam achievements in the game, level up early, and clear a full 72-hour run by basically letting the game play itself. So today, I'm going to show you the easiest way to beat Dead Rising on any platform, and how to get Outdoorsman, Indoorsman, 3-Day Survivor, and maybe even Marathon Runner with nearly 0 effort. Before we dive in, we need to talk about the achievements in Dead Rising, because this isn't just about getting Ending B or a few rare achievements. It's about joining an exclusive club of completionists in a game from 2006 that still holds up today, even though most players have completely neglected it. Out of all the owners of Dead Rising, almost 1/3 haven't even touched the game. The rest, they don't typically complete the game or come anywhere close. That's our baseline. So, how many people are we talking about? Let's estimate total owners of Dead Rising. Different sources report different numbers. VG Insights says around 236,700, Gamealytic reports 437,600, and PlayTracker reports over 1.13 million. I'd say a reasonable middle ground estimate is 600,000 owners, so that's our working number. Now, how many haven't played or did minimal play? We can use the Freefall achievement as a proxy. About 68.4% of owners haven't. Freefall represents the bare minimum of playing, so about 68.4% of owners are active players. That's 600,000 times 0.684, which comes out to roughly 410,400 players who've actually played. The remaining 31.6%, about 190,000 owners, are likely people who haven't played or barely touched the game. Next, let's estimate who completed the game in base 72-hour mode. Using 3-Day Survivor as a proxy, which is 21.3% overall, we multiply 600,000 by 0.213, giving us approximately 127,800 players who completed the game fully in 72-hour mode. Any ending that doesn't blow up the mall. Now, applying these rarities to total owners gives us estimated numbers. Outdoorsman has about 21,000 people, Indoorsman has about 23,400 people, 3-Day Survivor 127,800, Marathon Runner 124,200, 7-Day Survivor 16,800, and Transmissionary 17,400. Relative to baseline players, that's around 5.1% for Outdoorsman, 5.7% for Indoorsman, 31.1% for 3-Day Survivor, 30.3% for Marathon Runner, 4.1% for 7-Day Survivor, and 4.2% for Transmissionary. So only about 5% of active players ever get Outdoorsman or Indoorsman. Around 30 to 31% of baseline players actually complete the base 72-hour run, or they get Marathon Runner, or both. And 7-Day Survivor and Transmissionary are extremely rare, around 4% among active players. So what about 100% achievements? Only a small fraction of active baseline players, say probably 1 to 2%, could possibly have all the achievements. That's roughly 6,150 players. Looking at the main milestones, about 128,000 players completed 72-hour mode, 110,400 reached Ending A and unlocked overtime mode, and 102,000 went on to complete Ending S in overtime, unlocking infinite mode. That shows a significant drop-off. Only about 25% of active players reach the final S ending. To put it all into perspective, Dead Rising has around 600,000 Steam owners, but only 410,000 actually played. Of those, around 128,000 completed the base 72-hour story, around 110,000 made it to overtime mode, and roughly 102,000 reached Infinite Mode after getting the final ending. That's only about 25% of active players who made it to the very end. That means there are almost twice as many players who never touched the game than those who completed even the first mode. Rare achievements like Outdoorsman and Indoorsman are just 5 to 6% of active players. Marathon Runner is about 30%, and 7-Day Survivor and Transmissionary are only around 4% of active players. Which is exactly why our AFK helipad and security room method is such a game changer. You can unlock Ending B, grab some of the rarest achievements in the game, and boost your PP, all with almost no effort, something very few players ever do naturally. By idling for 24 in-game hours outside and 24 hours inside, you can unlock Outdoorsman and Indoorsman, picking up 3-Day Survivor after yet another 24 in-game hours, and maybe even Marathon Runner if you choose to. You're essentially beating Dead Rising while the rest of the world has mostly given up on or never even tried finishing the story. But doing this isn't just a shortcut to Ending B. It's a low-effort way to grab some of the rarest achievements in the game, achievements that most players will never see. That's why this method is so powerful, and worth knowing before you dive into the rest of the endings. Even 9 years later, this game still has some surprising numbers. Released in September 2016, Dead Rising has somewhere between 236,000 and over 1 million owners, depending on who you ask. Yet, if you peek at the live stats, only about 40 players are online at any given time. Tiny compared to the all-time peak of 993 concurrent players back in 2016. That's a massive drop-off. But it's also kind of amazing that people are still logging in nearly a decade later. The game has had massive spikes in activity, often tied to bundles, sales, or big patches. For example, in July 2024, the peak hit 378 players in a single day, almost triple the previous month. And Steam reviews? Dead Rising is still holding strong, with over 6,000 reviews, with 88% positive, meaning it's well loved even years after release. This means that Dead Rising has a fascinating mix of casual owners and hardcore players, and your AFK helipad run lets you join the rarest club, completing major story milestones without fighting a single zombie. So while I'm showing you the easiest way to beat Dead Rising, it's fun to think about. You're participating in a game nearly 2 decades old, yet still maintained and kept up with by a tiny yet passionate player base. That alone makes this experience feel a little special. I mean, yeah, there are over 1 million owners if you trust PlayTracker, but at any one moment, there are less than 50 people playing. Makes you feel exclusive, doesn't it? Dead Rising's all-time peak at 993 players makes the game still niche, but surprisingly active for a 9-year-old game on Steam. And the Steam reviews being this positive still, it just reminds me that people do remember the mall and the chaos. You might think that standing at a helipad doing nothing is lazy, but in the grand scheme, you're now part of the hardcore minority who actually finish the story in any way. Here's how it works. Dead Rising's in-game clock advances 1 hour for every 5 real-world minutes. That means the full 72-hour story lasts exactly 6 hours of real time, or in other words, 2 real hours per in-game day. If you don't complete all case files, but you're standing on the helipad when the helicopter arrives, the game gives you Ending B. It's 50,000 prestige points, and it counts as an ending for completion, although it is not the true ending, but it requires almost 0 input. But here's where it gets really good. 2 of the rarer achievements on Steam, Outdoorsman and Indoorsman, only require you to spend 24 in-game hours in a single location. That's just 2 real-world hours each. And 3-Day Survivor pops automatically when the full 72 hours are over. To set this up, just either start a fresh save or load an existing one into a fresh 72-hour mode. I personally did this twice. One run standing outside the whole time to get Outdoorsman, and another run standing inside the security room to get Indoorsman. You can do both in one run. I personally did this so I could sleep while it ran overnight for the first, and let it run the second one while I was out doing errands. You can also do these in either order, just make sure each area gets a full, continuous 24 in-game hours. For Outdoorsman, take Frank back up to the helipad and just leave him there. Stay for 24 in-game hours. That's about 2 real-world hours. I leave the watch open so the time is always visible, but nothing attacks you here, nothing disturbs you, and yes, I left this running overnight. This is also where I noticed Carlito's first spawn can stay frozen in place when you idle here. So technically, standing here might be the cleanest way to stop all the chaos he causes. A bit of an accidental hero moment, if you will. For Indoorsman, just walk back into the security room and idle for another 24 in-game hours. This will unlock Indoorsman. Again, that's 2 real hours, totally idle. You now have 2 rare achievements with almost 0 effort. Now, if you also want to get Marathon Runner, you have a few options. You can either wedge your controller's joystick, you can use a macro, or you can put something weighted on your movement key so Frank walks in circles during the idle sections. That said, you'll almost certainly unlock this achievement just by playing normally. But if you want to AFK it, it's very easy here. Once both 24-hour segments are done, all you need to do is wait out the remaining time until the 72-hour mark. As long as you don't solve all the case files, and you're on the helipad at noon, you will always get Ending B, where Ed lands safely, Frank hops in, all the rescued survivors board the chopper, and everyone flies out while a zombie silently watches you leave. Congratulations! You just beat Dead Rising, got Ending B, and probably grabbed multiple rare achievements. For the waiting segments, I sped up the footage to compress the entire 6 hours into about a minute. I only show the ending cutscenes and credits once, and the credits are sped up but still readable. This is meant to keep the video digestible while still showing exactly how little work is required. If you're collecting all endings, or if you're just starting a fresh file and want some early levels, this is honestly the easiest way to do it. Ending B gives 50,000 PP with no combat required, and 3 nice achievements in the bag if you don't already have them. My next video, I'll cover the rest of the Dead Rising endings, A through F, and show you how to trigger each one of them. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the series, and thanks for watching.